So welcome everybody to Art 117. Hey, look at that. My hair's not a mess and everything. Last time we started the idea of model making and trying to make a scale model of a chair design that we wanted to play with. And so the idea was, how do you make boxes so that you can fold boxes into shapes? And I started us off with last year's scale model that I made. And then I started with making a scale model for this year. And I actually had these pieces and parts all cut out and folded together into boxes and then glued together so that I could assemble them, into my rudimentary chair, just like this, a chair form. But this was kind of rudimentary, and I wanted to go just a little bit more in depth to work with shapes that are a little bit fancier than just rectangular solids today. So trying to make something that might be a trapezoidal solid or a parallelogram solid or something like that. So I also took apart my chair, my basic chair thing, because we are going to want to, when we arrive at the idea of what your chair pieces, what your chair modules are going to be, you really want to kind of take this apart, trace this out, or be able to recreate this so that you've got it written down on a flat piece of paper, so that you've got this as a model and kind of a scale model drawing, so that when we scale this up to be a full-size chair, you can actually recreate this pattern on cardboard full size. And so I took it, I had this glued together so that I could see what my chair was looking like. I took it apart again so that I could change it, make it better, whatever, draw it out again. I want to, actually cut these out and glue them back together so that I can have the chair model that I can refer to. But I also want to be able to have another version of this drawn out flat so that I've got the pattern, the plans for the chair elements. So having said all that, let's go back to the drawing board here. Oh, by the way, when I get done with this in about 10 minutes, I'm going to ask you guys if any of you have anything that you can share with the group in terms of your design. So if you have plans drawn out, if you have anything that you can share with the group, the isometric projection of a chair, if you've done this much and done it in ink and can hold it up to the camera, I'd love it if you guys could share that. If it's actually a JPEG that you can have as an open document that you could screen share, that would be even better. If you have started to actually draw out your chair proportions and measurements for the possibility of the chair shape that you're going to be playing with, and can share that with the group, we'd love to see it. So any work that you have done so far, preliminary to actually building the chair, would be great. If you've gone to all the trouble of actually building this chair model and have this thing that you can share on camera with us and show us what your shapes and designs are, that'd be fantastic. We'd love to see it. So if any of you have that, please go ahead and open those documents. You can minimize this screen. You can go into your computer and open up those other documents and get them open on the desktop for screen sharing. Or if you've just got the actual object, please have that standing by so that we can do a little bit of share out today. It's not really a critique, but it would be a share out for the kinds of elements that you've been playing with up to this point. If anybody has a question or a comment, you just go right ahead and unmute your mic and shoot it out at any time. Oh, I got one more thing to do. I forgot to turn up my volume, so I've just got to type in volume here and adjust my volume, because yes, of course, it has reset itself. So now I'm at 100% volume so that even an old man can hear you soft people talking. And with that, I'm going to go back to this view down here. Not that view. God, you'd think that a guy could learn where he's at by now. So I wanted to try to do a trapezoidal chair form, at least the seat form, because when you're doing the seat as a trapezoid, then all of the other modules will have to go up against the surfaces and the contours of your seat. And so by building the seat as a trapezoid, then your arms will come up at an angle, and the back of the chair will come up at an angle, and suddenly everything kind of flows from this kind of basic thing here. So having drawn this out, and this is the same size then that I've got this seat built for this particular model right here. I'm going to cut this out really quick. He always says really quick, and then I'm looking around for my scissors in this mess. So anyway, here we go. We're going to cut this out and fold it up really quick and build this chair so that you've got the idea of a trapezoidal chair. You probably already have it well in your head, and I'm doing this to just satisfy myself and take a little bit of time, but let us take time. This design process is not just something that happens where you have perfect, beautiful ideas in your head and they flow seamlessly onto the paper the first time, every time, and that you can just cut them out, fold them up, and make a chair, voila. You kind of have to work with this a little bit. You kind of need to struggle with it, redo it a couple of times, refine your sizes, your forms, your shapes, so that it all kind of fits together. So I did this, and I'm already rushing this thing, so I forgot to put tabs on two sides of this. This is going to need tabs on two sides, so that when I fold it together, I have glue tabs that are going to be hidden glue tabs where I can glue it all together. So I've already messed this thing up. I'm going to fold it up as a box because I'm in a big hurry and I'm trying to do this in front of people. And you know what happens when you try to do things in front of people. Sometimes it doesn't work out right. So we're going to fold up our four sides like a lovely little four-leaf clover or a flower. Hooray. And watch me cheat. I'm going to use tape to put this thing together. I'm going to get my 4 pieces of tape pre-cut and ready to go so that I can assemble my box. And I'm just going to stick this thing together like this because I'm a designer, and a designer in the throes of design can build the box, and it can even be sloppy because it is just the scale model. It is just the design. All right. So by taping this together, it makes it a heck of a lot easier to take it back apart again, flatten it back out, and be able to trace this so that I have the plan, the scale model, hand-drawn plan for this piece of it too. But this then is the trapezoidal seat that you see right here. And by building the trapezoidal seat first, then your side pieces and your back piece can fit on the trapezoid, and so your angles are built in to the seat form, which is kind of cool. So that as you're gluing up the back of the chair to the seat form, then you've already got your angle established for the back of the chair and for the arms too. This is the original back of the chair that I did on Monday. And of course, it doesn't quite fit because now it wants to be trapezoidal too. It wants to start out at the same width at the bottom as the seat. It wants to follow the angles of the trapezoid up, and then it wants to continue out wider and wider and wider on straight lines until it gets to the top. So the trapezoidal back for the chair would look something like this. It would be a rectangular solid from the sides. The sides would be rectangular. But the front and back of the chair back would again be this inverted trapezoid if you're going to go that direction. And I went with trapezoids on the arms here too. I had to kind of modify those things as I was building the larger chair, but that was kind of part of the whole kind of concept. So this, trying to take your idea from a sketch of some kind to the three-dimensional model and assemble a three-dimensional model so that you can actually see it and see how it works three-dimensionally, and then be able to actually take these apart and then make your patterns drawn out so that we can see how this works on a sheet of cardboard is kind of, all part of the process. It kind of is a check and a proof of concept to be able to make these individual modules and then build them out and build them together. But the reason that I want us to be able to draw this back out again on a piece of paper, I'm just going to grab one more piece of paper and draw it out one more time. So I've got my thing here, and I'm just going to I'm going to kind of trace it really fast here. I always say things like I'm going to do things really fast, and I may be doing them really fast, and I may not. I'm going to mark my corners. Where are my corners? I got one more corner to mark here. Okay, so I've got this piece of paper that you can't see anything on, but these are going to be my edges for my thing, drawn out on a piece of paper so that I can mark my measurements. I can put my measurements on things, and I can have a pretty good idea of how I laid this thing out and measured it and how it scales up to the full-size piece. And doggone it, I want to be able to add my tabs to at least two sides. And I have to angle these tabs so that they will fold in and accommodate the angles of the trapezoidal shapes. So these are going to have to be like anywhere from 4 to 6 inches wide tabs on this piece. But this would then be the pattern that I would want to lay out on my full-size sheet of cardboard to be able to cut out for my chair. And so, if this is, let's just say 30 inches square, and this is going to be 17 inches in height, got that, and I've got these measurements here. And this winds up, if I took a quarter of an inch, so let's say I took like 3 inches off of each side. So from 30 inches, this would go down to 26 inches on the outside edges like this, something like that. So that I know I've got a drawn out plan that I can then scale up and transfer to my full-size sheet of cardboard. And I know it will go together because I built it once as a scale model already. And I also can then tell, I can total up this whole thing. 17 plus 30 plus 17 is like 60. You can do the math, James, 74 inches. So if I was going to make this out of one piece of cardboard, I would need a piece of cardboard that was at least 74 inches square, which is 6 feet 2 inches piece of cardboard that I would need. I might not be able to find a 6 foot by 6 foot piece of cardboard, even among all of the mattress boxes and everything else I'm using. So what may happen here is that when we lay this thing out, we might have to actually make some changes. And like these two pieces might have to be separate pieces. They might have to be a separate piece drawn out on another piece of cardboard that have a tab on them, a glue tab. And so we might have to eliminate these two pieces of cardboard so that we can get this much of the box to fit on the piece of cardboard, the piece of mattress cardboard that we get from the furniture store. And by eliminating these two side tabs and putting them on smaller pieces of cardboard like this, we can then cut these out and make the folded tab here, and then move this in and glue that tab in right here. And then we do have our 4-sided pattern that we can totally put together, and it'll be fantastic. So it's kind of good to be able to be flexible in being able to build cardboard, especially with found cardboard that we're going to get from the furniture store. And it's good to have this laid out on a piece of paper so that we know what our measurements are, we know what our layout is, and then if possible, if we need to eliminate one tab, one side of this, or 2 tabs, both sides of this, so that we can get it to fit on, you know, whatever size mattress piece of cardboard we have to work with, we know that we can fabricate the additional sides that we need and slide those in and glue them into place so that we still can build our actual seat box to the size and proportions that we intend it to be. So that's really important. I don't know if that made any sense to you guys, but as I start to actually demonstrate and build the cardboard chair, I will hearken back to this little demonstration right here and tell you that's what I was talking about when I was talking about if I can't fit this whole thing on a sheet of cardboard, I have to improvise and put 2/3 of it on one sheet of cardboard, make the additional pieces, and then glue the additional pieces in on the 2 sides to make this, you know, completely work. These tabs would be hidden underneath the seat and you would not be able to see these. So this is just kind of a little cheater technique to expand out our pattern to be bigger, to be able to be bigger than what will actually fit on a sheet of cardboard that comes from the furniture store. Okay, I've said that 10 times, so I'm done saying that now. So I'm coming back to you guys. And I was just wondering if any of you had something that you might want to share in your drawings or your designing or even your research. If you even downloaded a picture of something that's an interesting chair, an interesting chair shape, if this happens to be residing in your sketchbook and you want to just open up your sketchbook to that page and show us your sketchbook page so that we can see it, that'd be fantastic. I was just wondering if there's anybody here who got any part of the way into this process enough so that you could kind of show and tell the piece, the drawing that you might have gotten to at this point. Or, you know, even if you got so far into this, Madison, that you might have even gotten so carried away and so into this that you actually pre-built your scale model already. Just check it. You guys can like open up your mics and tell me. And if it didn't work, well, or if you're not there yet, that's fine. It's no harm, no foul. Today was not a deadline for anything. So, you know, I was just wondering if there's anybody who has been thinking about this and conceiving of this and building boxes up to this point that can play our game and show us what you might have gotten to at this point. Now I didn't actually, excuse me. Oh, it is springtime and the flowers are blooming, aren't they? I didn't provide you with the cardstock yet. So I just put the cardstock out on the table this morning. After this presentation, if you want to come over here and grab several pieces of cardstock, and I would suggest taking 3 or 4 so that you've got enough to make to make boxes and make patterns. And then once you make the first one and it's like, well, that's not good enough, I don't like that shape, to remake it and make it a different way so that you can start to play with the kinds of shapes that you might want to need for your chair, for either the scale model and or you know, the full-size chair. But being able to, you know, conceptualize the full-size chair as a scale model, you're going to need at least 3 or 4 pieces of cardstock or manila folder material, something that is a cardstock type of material that's tough enough and strong enough so that you can lay out and design the pieces and parts for it. So you can cut those out of cardstock and be able to fold them together, and also start to be able to understand how the tabs work, because you need to make the box, plus you need to build in the idea of the glue tabs so that this will all kind of fold and glue together as box construction method. Okay, I just don't see a whole bunch of people unmuting their mics and saying, ooh, ooh, pick me, pick me. So that's okay. I wanted to walk us through this. I've done like 3 different demonstrations on 3 days now. So you've kind of seen me walk you through an entire kind of design process where I was researching chair designs, measuring up an existing chair just to see what the measurements are on an existing lounge chair, that like the kind that you might find at the library or in the lobby here in Eden Hall. And as a matter of fact, if you're going to come over and get the cardstock today, you are sure welcome to come right into Eden Hall and measure those chairs. You're going to need a measuring tape. How about if I just put out like 4 measuring tapes out in the lobby? I'll put them out there so that you can stumble over them, so you can find the measuring tapes, so that you can actually come and measure a chair in the lobby and transfer those measurements onto the piece of paper so that you know what your seat height is, and the height of your arms, and the depth and length of your arms, and the height and depth and length of the back of the chair. You're going to need all of those proportions so that you can start to transfer that into some kind of measured drawing. So you are in the ballpark for being able to design your cardboard chair with the kinds of shapes and forms that you want your cardboard chair to be. Chair design, is a basic kind of a thing, and we stand on the shoulders of giants because people have already figured out the seat height and, arms and back of the chair heights and proportions that feel good for most people. So you need to be able to kind of measure a chair out and just lay that out so that you've got that set of measurements and proportions yourself. Then you can do the little tiny fun things that we do as designers and play with changing either the height of the back of the chair or the height of the arms or the width of those kinds of things to try to make them fit you better, or to be funky and different and a fun shape so that it's something new, it's something different, it's something unique, it's something that you put your stamp on in terms of it being just a slightly different shape for a chair element. And so I'm going to wrap this up today and invite you guys to come over to Eden Hall to pick up the cardstock, 3 or 4 pieces of cardstock. I've got them out on that table. I might even put another pile of cardstock in here in the lobby on a table that you could grab and pick up. And I'm going to put several tape measures of either kind that you are comfortable using so that you can measure the forms and proportions of the chairs in the lobby in Eden Hall. And that should help finally get you kind of started and on your way towards some kind of chair design. So that's going to be what we're going to do today. And I will get the assignments up in the coursework so that we can get these drawings made and get them uploaded into coursework, and get the pattern pieces kind of designed and laid out so that you can build your scale model of your chair. We need to do all of this preliminary work before we get going crazy with full-size sheets of cardboard and lots of sharp tools and scariness, because cardboard, while it is free, there is some expense for me in terms of having to pick it up and haul it over here. And it, when I get 20, 30, 40 sheets of cardboard boxes, it weighs a ton, a literal 2,000 pounds in my trailer. So there's a lot of work in bringing the cardboard over here. So I don't want us to be wasting cardboard trying to make this stuff up, at that stage of the construction process. I need you to be able to work out all of the design details in the scale model so that there's very little waste when it comes to actually building our pieces life size and full size. Okay, so having said that, are there any last minute questions or comments for the good of the order before we wrap it up today? Not really. Let's see. I was not on campus yesterday, and so if the Invent Oregon team was trying to get a hold of me, I was not here to receive you guys. I didn't see any email or anything. If the Invent Oregon team wants to come and meet with me or talk to me about mask design or anything else, that would be fine. I'm still trying to do a couple of things. I'm trying to do a survey of the nurses to see how their use of Olsen style cloth masks went during their last 14 months of professional use, to see how they like Olsen style masks. I'm continuing to refine my design that I'm coming up with for this modified Olsen style mask that has the filter pocket in it. And really what I'm now doing is working primarily on the liner of this mask, trying to make that out of a athletic mesh so that the liner is totally perforated and easy to breathe through. And I'm also actually cutting out and sewing together the filter pieces so that the two filter pieces that are, that are this shape. How about if I do this with a mask, you can see the filter pieces that are this shape and just slightly smaller that fit in the filter pockets. The filter pieces are sewn together along the front edge of the mask so that the filter pieces actually, are sewn together. They have to be stuffed into the filter pocket of the mask, and that their two edges of the filters are actually sewn and joined together so that it's a really nice filter that is a totally kind of a three-dimensional and form-fitted filter for the interior of the mask. If I can, come up with about 20 of these prototypes with the mesh interior and these cotton batting filters sewn together along the nose edge, I think that this is really the thing that will convince people this is a cool design. So that's what I'm working on. I'm trying to continue with the development of the prototype in advance of the June deadline for you guys if you're going to be presenting this. So just wanted to let you know a little bit about mask update. Okay, so I'm going to say goodbye for now, and I will see you guys on Friday. Please do try to come in today or tomorrow and play with measuring chairs in the lobby if you haven't had a chance to do that as part of making your scale drawings for this process. And I will meet with you guys again on Friday. Goodbye for now. Have a good middle of your week.